The engines hummed with the steady confidence of wealth and routine, and billionaire Adrian Vale barely glanced up from his phone as his private security team settled into their seats across the aisle. Flying commercial was a rare inconvenience for a man whose name lit up financial headlines and whose signature could move markets. But tonight's last-minute flight to close a silent acquisition had left no time for his jet. He preferred control, over businesses, over narratives, over emotions. That was why, when a soft cry echoed from a few rows ahead and he casually lifted his eyes, control slipped from his grasp in a single breath. 2 rows ahead, by the window, sat a woman he had once promised forever to. Elena. His ex-wife. The woman who had walked away from his empire, and from him, 5 years ago with nothing but a suitcase and wounded pride. Time seemed to fold in on itself. Her hair was longer now, her face softer but stronger somehow, like someone who had learned to survive storms alone. And in her arms was a baby boy. Adrian's heartbeat thudded in his ears as the child shifted in her embrace and turned his tiny face toward the aisle. It was subtle at first, a familiar angle of the jaw, the deep-set gray eyes, the unmistakable arch of the brows. Then the baby blinked, and Adrian felt the air leave his lungs. It was like staring into a mirror of his own childhood photos. The resemblance wasn't coincidence. It was inheritance. His fingers tightened around the armrest as memories rushed back, arguments about long hours, missed anniversaries, the night Elena had whispered that she felt invisible in his shadow. He had accused her of being ungrateful, she had accused him of loving ambition more than people. The divorce had been swift, clinical, efficient, just the way he handled everything. She had refused alimony, refused his lawyer's attempts at settlement beyond the basics. And now here she was, holding a child who looked exactly like him. His mind raced through timelines, dates, the months before the separation. Could it be possible? Why hadn't she told him? Or had he been too consumed by billion-dollar deals to notice signs of something far more valuable? The baby fussed again, and Elena gently rocked him, whispering something that made the child calm instantly. Adrian studied her from a distance, noticing the weariness beneath her composure. This wasn't the life of someone cushioned by luxury. This was the look of a mother who had carried everything alone. Guilt, sharp and unfamiliar, pierced through his chest. For years he had told himself that losing Elena was a necessary casualty on the road to greatness. Yet watching her now, he felt poorer than he ever had before. The flight attendant approached Elena with a polite smile, offering assistance with the baby's bag. Adrian saw the worn edges of the diaper tote, the simple clothes, the absence of extravagance. His empire was built on excess, yet his possible son wore modest knitted fabric and clutched his mother's finger like it was the only security in the world. Adrian's thoughts grew louder, more chaotic. If the child was his, he had missed first smiles, first words, first steps. He had missed midnight cries and morning cuddles. All because he had chosen spreadsheets over soul. The engines roared louder as the plane began taxiing, but inside Adrian, something else was taking off, regret mixed with a desperate need for truth. Finally, unable to bear the distance, Adrian stood and moved forward, ignoring the curious glances from nearby passengers. When Elena looked up and their eyes met, the years of silence shattered in a heartbeat. Shock flickered across her face, followed by something unreadable, fear, perhaps, or defiance. Adrian, she breathed, his name no longer wrapped in affection but in caution. He glanced at the baby, who stared back with those hauntingly familiar gray eyes. Adrian began, his voice unsteady for the first time in boardroom history. Elena's grip tightened protectively around the child. His name is Noah, she said quietly. Not a confirmation. Not a denial. Just a name that sounded like both salvation and storm. The plane lifted into the night sky, and with it rose the truth Adrian could no longer ignore: success meant nothing if it cost him the people who gave his life meaning. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about mergers or market shares. He was thinking about bedtime stories, about second chances, about whether redemption was possible at 30,000 feet. The billionaire who had everything suddenly faced the possibility that he had almost lost the one thing that mattered most. And as the city lights faded beneath the clouds, Adrian realized that some investments aren't measured in money, but in courage, humility, and love. If this story moved you, if you believe that no amount of wealth can replace family and second chances, make sure you subscribe to the channel and join us for more powerful stories that remind us what truly matters in life.